Hello everyone, and welcome back to Nihongaku, a story of Japan. It's been a long time since I've recorded. In the last episode, we finished out the Kamakura period, I believe. No, Azuchi Momoya period, and began the Edo or Tokugawa period, which lasts from 1603 to 1868. This episode, we will continue that. We will also put our spy somewhere, which I'm surprised I didn't do last time. Should we put him in a city-state, possibly? Yeah, I think we should put him in a city-state. Let's see, Hong Kong. How much do we have in Hong Kong? 81. Hanoi. Oh, we were going to give Hanoi money. That's right. Why don't we just do that right now? I don't know if I was saving up for anything. I'm going to put this guy in Hong Kong. Because we want to stay happy, and we can only do that with Hong Kong. Okay. Sounds good. Still just walling out China here. Repair. And let's see if we can find anyone in North America. Who did we just see there? Is that a... Oh, barbarian. I thought that was a Zulu ship or something. Couldn't tell. This guy has explored pretty far out here. Just get him go a little farther, I guess. Look at the 3 furs in a row. This is absurd. Alright, let's kill that horseman. Might as well. No city-states up here, but it doesn't matter. Leave you here. Okay, so there are a couple things. I think we've progressed past a couple of things in the... Or missed a couple of things in the early Edo or Tokugawa period that I want to talk about. First of all, let's see. I think we talked about the oppression and the rebellion of the Christians and whatnot, and that ended. The Dutch got restricted to Dejima in 1636. Yeah, 1637 was the Shimabara Christian rebellion. In 1630, let's see, 1635 actually. So we kind of missed this. The Bakufu, the shogunate, addressed a council at Nagasaki. Let's see. Should we make a lumber mill here? I guess, yeah. Outlining basically the like foreign policy that Japan was going to try and maintain from then on, and that was what you might know as the Sakoku edicts. If you know anything about Japanese history, you probably know about the Sakoku period, or the word Sakoku, which literally means isolated country, I think. Something around that. Which is another name for the Tokugawa period. Yes, research agreement, that's fine. However, if you know anything about that, you probably also know that calling it a period of isolation is a pretty big misnomer, as we will get into later. But I'm gonna stop taking turns for a second, just to I want to read this out as I'm playing, because the edicts are pretty interesting. So this is the edict of 1635 ordering the closing of Japan, addressed to the joint Bogyo of Nagasaki. I'm going to try to play the game while I'm reading this. 1. Japanese ships are strictly forbidden to leave for foreign countries. Where are you going to go? Over here. 2. No Japanese is permitted to go abroad. If there is anyone who attempts to do so secretly, he must be executed. The ship so involved must be impounded and its owner arrested, and the matter must be reported to the higher authority. Let's make... Pretty late in the game, but I'm going to make a great work of art anyway, I think. Yeah. 3. If any Japanese returns from overseas after residing there, he must be put to death. 4. If there is any place where the teachings of Padres Christianity, that's what they call Christianity, is practiced, the Padres are like priests, so the teachings of Padres is Christianity. Any place where that's practiced, the two of you, probably the joint Bogyo of Nagasaki, must order a thorough investigation. 5. Any informer revealing the whereabouts of the follower of Padres. followers of Padres or Christians must be rewarded accordingly. If anyone reveals the whereabouts of a high-ranking Padre, he must be given 100 pieces of silver. For those of lower ranks, depending on the deed, the reward must be set accordingly. 6. If a foreign ship has objection to the measures adopted and it becomes necessary to report the matter to Edo, you may ask the Omura domain to provide ships to guard the foreign ship, as was done previously. 7. If there are any southern barbarians, which is the Japanese name for Westerners, who propagate the teachings of Padres or otherwise commit crimes, they may be incarcerated in the prison maintained by the Omura domain, as was done previously. Okay, let's give them the rough terrain. I want to kill this pikeman. It would be nice. I mean, we might actually not be able to win this battle, so we might have to retreat. Oh, so many things to do. Let's give him rough combat, rough terrain combat. Try to get rid of these damn barbarians. Okay, where were we? Getting up into the North America soon here. 8. All incoming ships must be carefully searched for the followers of Padres. 9. No single trade city shall be permitted to purchase all the merchandise brought by foreign ships. 10. Samurai are not permitted to purchase any goods originating from foreign ships directly from Chinese merchants in Nagasaki. 11. After a list of merchandise brought by foreign ships is sent to Edo, as before, you may order that commercial dealings may take place without waiting for a reply from Edo. Kyoto has grown. Okay. Die, barbarian. Oh, we actually might be able to kill this guy. That's fine. Okay, we just finished navigation. What next? Let's catch up with acoustics. I just chose. Gonna keep telling me to choose a research, buddy? I'm gonna choose something else? There we go. 12. After settling the price, all white yarns, which is raw silk, brought by foreign ships shall be allocated to the 5 trading cities and other quarters as stipulated. This gets into a lot of kind of esoteric trade stuff. Let's see. Find anything else that's interesting. Yes, let's be friends. That's fine. Yeah. So on and so forth about specific trade things. You are hereby required to act in accordance with the provisions set above. It is so ordered. Kaga no Kami, Hota Masamori et al. Seals. 2. Sakakibara Hida no Kami, Sengoku Yamato no Kami. Okay. Well, those were the abridged quote-unquote Sakoku edicts, or the Edict of 1635 ordering the closing of Japan. If you paid... Oh, look. Soliman has declared war on Darius. Interesting. If you paid attention, you would have probably noticed that the vast majority of those were specifically about Christians. I mean, there were a couple not allowing the Japanese to leave the country, but almost all of them are specifically about Christians, and that's an important part of the whole debate on whether Japan is actually isolated in this period. That they were really just isolated. They were really just like completely They were really just trying to completely isolate themselves from the effects of Christianity. They restricted trade to certain cities, but they were still trading with the Chinese and even the Dutch, who are the Westerners. And they were trading with Korea, and they were trading with Ryukyu down here, and they were trading with... well, that's mainly it. But they were trading with basically all their like important neighbors. So they were not truly isolated in the sense they weren't like just completely cut off from the outside world. Okay. What does Kyoto need? We just finished a factory. Soon we'll have an ideology in 2 turns. Just leave this musketman here. What else is going on in the Tokugawa period? In this period, this is. I believe I mentioned the phrase "centralized feudal" last episode in regards to the Japanese government during the Tokugawa period, and that's kind of what it is in the sense that what that basically means is that it's still feudal. Like there's the High Lord, there's it's the Shogun, and then his vassals who are the daimyo of the leaders of the domains, and then their vassals who are the samurai and other things. But it's centralized feudal in the sense that like no one under the daimyo really has any owns any land anymore. The daimyo own like basically I think around 300 daimyo own all the land. It's not like they're like the samurai don't own the land. No one below them owns the land. So the power is really concentrated in the upper echelons of the government. The Zulus have denounced the Ottomans. Okay, Tokyo, you just finished a thingamajig. Let's make a windmill. Oh yeah, we were almost finished with the windmill there. This guy, it'd be nice to have him not die, although these guys are just basically free experience. So let's stay with that. In this period, Japan was basically an anti-meritocracy in the sense that your position in society, what you were born into, is not. This is another thing about which there's a lot of debate in the scholarship, like Japanese history community, and there are many examples of specific incidents in which societal roles were not completely frozen, but for the most part, especially in the early Edo period, what you were born into pretty much signified what you were going to be doing for the rest of your life. So you could be I've also talked about before. I've talked about the Confucian social hierarchies with the warriors at the top, and then the peasants, and then artisans, and then the merchants at the very bottom, who are seen as corrupt and disgusting because they just manage money, kind of like the Jews in Europe. In this period, about 5% of the entire population was samurai, was the warriors. So that's the top 5%. And then the second tier, the peasants, in terms of, they were like the second most morally valued people in the society. They were 80% of Japanese society, and then the bottom two, artisans and merchants, were then 15%. That's a huge amount of peasants, and basically, if you were born into peasantry or any of those other things, merchants who were the lowest actually turned out to have the most kind of fluidity in their social standing because they were some of the richest in this period. But if you're born into peasantry, born into artisanship, born into samurai, you couldn't promote yourself. It just didn't really happen. Let's buy a pagoda here. And let's make a seaport. And let's choose a ideology. Yes, okay. Autocracy, freedom, or order. Well, I don't think we're going to be going for a military victory in this game. As much as I would like to, and as much as it would be appropriate for Japanese history, I do not foresee us being able to capture all 11 other capitals. So that's definitely not going to happen. I think we might go freedom. At this point, I'm kind of aiming for a diplomatic victory, either diplomatic or science, and freedom definitely gives us the best for that. And I would much rather take freedom than allow China to like go rampant with the extra policies from freedom. So we're going to do freedom. And we're going to start out with the usual ones, avant-garde, and probably +1 culture from great work is actually pretty good. Let's see. We only have 4 of those though, so that's actually doesn't really matter that much. Special, probably civil society. Yeah, looks good. Pretty happy with that. I'm glad we were the first to the ideology. In this period, also, this was definitely a period of stability relative to the previous period particularly, but Japan basically did not like have any military, even like small military conflicts with outsiders, nor really was there any infighting until basically the 19th century. And what this period of stability led to was a heavy development of arts and also kind of intellectual practices. I mean, this period is often seen as a period of kind of scientific stagnation and like lack of progress, which it was in many ways because they did. I mean, Japan did kind of refuse communication from people like the British and the Spanish and whatever who are getting technologically ahead, but they did study a lot of there's Rangaku, which is literally means Dutch studies, which became an important practice in Japanese scholarship communities during this period, and they learned a lot of things from the Dutch. They learned what are we going to build in Tokyo? Tokyo Bank. They learned about cartography. They learned about medicinal practices, whereas in the past Japan had basically always been like completely reliant on Chinese medicinal practices, which were very, shall we say, pseudo-scientific and based on kind of spiritual values and stuff. In this period, the Japanese actually learned scientific medicinal practices from the Dutch. Also, more scientific agriculture practices, which will become important in a couple of years, which I'll discuss. Kagoshima. Oh, I forgot about Kagoshima up here. Still not doing terribly well, but okay. Well, we can steal something from whom? Who is this, actually? I don't remember where we have our spy. Persepolis, okay. What can we steal? Just acoustics? Oh no, we can steal metallurgy and chemistry, thank God. I was going to say that'll be a huge waste. Okay, let's go chemistry. Kyoto. We need more trade routes. What the hell? Like some more cargo ships. Kagoshima. You just finished walls. Okay, let's go watermill. Watermills are good. This was also a time during which, going along with the stability, there's a lot of leisure time. This is the period in which the Kabuki theater was developed. Now, I don't know that much about Kabuki theater, but I hear a lot about it in discussion of Japanese history, and I know that it's kind of like heavily dramatized theater, and I know that it's very important for like when examining kind of Japanese cultural developments. But that's not really my focus. But I know that it did kind of have its fruition during this period. Let's see. Along with the intellectual developments, as the period progressed, merchants began to form kind of merchant, like intellectual, scholarly societies that generally had to meet in, we're going to go for scientific theory, kind of had to meet in secrecy, or not, it didn't have to, it wasn't always like complete secrecy, but until later, like until the late 18th century, they weren't really like public things, just because the merchants were just not respected, for the most part, at least not respected by the hierarchy that was imposed on Japanese society. How much that was actually practiced, of course, like laws are all well and good, but how much the people out here, not near any cities, actually had to follow the laws, or were forced to follow the laws, is up for a lot of debate. Kyoto, like another cargo ship, please. Okay, so where are we right now? Oh, so we're in North America. I wasn't even paying attention. It does not look like there's anyone here. Oops. Is Cape Cod? No, that's not Cape Cod, right? I don't know. My knowledge of American geography is terrible. Probably the worst of like all my geographical knowledge, despite the fact that it's the country that I live in. Where are we going to send this guy to? I could send him up to Kagoshima, or down to Satsuma. I'm probably going to send him up to Kagoshima if we can reach. If we can. Excellent. That'll spread the religion there as well. And Osaka, let's see. So Osaka's actually doing pretty well in growth, so let's make another mine. Otherwise, in Japanese history right now, kind of like I believe it was the Heian period that was a period of stability, right? If I remember. This period is also pretty stable, so there's not like a terrible amount that I feel the need to talk about. Although it is still an underrated period in terms of kind of importance of Japanese history. Everyone, I believe, particularly the what's that like meme video? Not it's not actually a meme, but like a history of Japan, the video that kind of went viral last year or earlier this year. The creator of that video basically just describes the Sakoku period or the Edo period as just a period of isolation and nothing particularly really happened. But that is could not be farther from the truth. It was mostly just a lot of the things that were happening were kind of subtle or underground or otherwise not like huge things like the Sengoku period or whatever. What are we gonna make in Tokyo? Armory, I guess. Yeah, we need some more soldiers. We need to upgrade the samurai. Can't we? Oh, they can't get upgraded until musketmen, I think. I forgot about that. Now, I don't remember exactly what year, but around this time, around 1710, a new shogun, Tokugawa Yoshimune, all the shoguns were of the Tokugawa family, the Tokugawa line. Tokugawa Yoshimune came in, and when he came in, there had been a little bit of unrest among the kind of far spread out daimyo all over the place, because they had kind of been having a little trouble following the centralized path. Let's send a cargo ship to Satsuma or just make some money. I say send it to Satsuma. We need better cities. And so what Yoshimune did, Tokugawa Yoshimune, is he basically all roles that needed to be filled, like new daimyo, or he might have even replaced some daimyo and like other administrative roles in strategically important places in Japan. He basically put like all of his friends and family members and otherwise trusted people into these important roles. And that even, I mean, of course that's like problematic because then it's like the whole country is run by her family, and then it just like it's kind of tyrannical, but it did definitely increase the stability and kind of centralized stability of Japan. And then I think in the late 1720s or 1730s, definitely we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, there was a huge drought and famine that struck Japan. And in this time, Yoshimune, his predecessors had not really valued, like, the merchants and some like specific scholars may have been studying Rangaku, the Dutch studies, but for the most part, the shogunate was not a big proponent of the Dutch studies, the foreign studies. But Yoshimune became a big proponent of learning from the Westerners, because he needed to figure out a way to kind of centralize the food production and agriculture of Japan, and also better adapt to disasters like famines and droughts. And so in this period, he incorporated a lot of maize into the Japan's agricultural production, which maize can grow better than wheat or anything else, which needs flat terrain. Maize or corn can grow in. I don't actually know if there's a difference between maize and corn. I'm just going to call it maize. Maize can grow in hills, and as you can see, Japan is incredibly hilly. He also he divided up agricultural production so that Japan wasn't just producing all of one resource, because then you become reliant on one, and if something bad happens to that one, then you basically have no other options, kind of like the Irish potato famine 150 years later or whatever. Let's go to next turn. Anyway, that little moment. I mean, it's not a particularly like well-remembered moment in Japanese history, but it always seemed pretty important to me. I think after Yoshimune, I think he stopped being shogun in the 40s, 1740s, I think, or 1740s or 50s maybe. After that, his successors once again were not terribly focused on Western learning or foreign studies, but he was definitely an interesting guy. Okay, there's literally no more land we can improve over here, right? Get this freaking stones, man. How long have we been waiting for this? All right, just go to the stones. Improve it, for God's sake. Okay, we're kind of getting up into Canada now. No one else is here, so let's send this guy over to... We got to actually get into the Mediterranean. Either the Mediterranean or the White Sea up here. Let's go up into the White Sea, because I have to imagine there's some, like, German individual up there. Osaka, what do you need to build? Opera House, Temple. Let's go for Temple. I was getting some frame drops back there earlier. They seems a little better now. Gotta figure out what to do against China. World Congress still hasn't been founded. I imagine it's quite difficult to... I mean, I've never played as on the giant Earth map before, but I imagine it is usually quite difficult to actually meet everyone. Particularly with people who aren't on coasts. Like the Germans, probably. Alas, not much we can do. Yes, improve the stone. Finally. Been waiting millennia for that. And Tokyo. You have fishing boats? Do you need fishing boats? Yeah, they do. So let's make a workboat. No. Why don't we just make a workboat? Kyoto. Does Tokyo need more than one? Do we need... Yeah. Okay, so Osaka needs one and Kyoto needs one. So I'll just build one. I mean, sorry. Osaka needs one and Tokyo needs one. So I'm going to build one in Kyoto and in Osaka. That's perfect. And what policy tree are we on right now? We're almost finished with exploration. So we're probably just going to finish that and then go to freedom and then start doing more freedom things. Now we're 9 in literacy. That is not good. Darius is pretty far ahead of us, so it's good that we're spying on him. Doesn't matter. Hong Kong election rigged. Perfect. Go over here. And go over here, please. Is there any coal that we're not... Yeah, we should improve this coal. It's not within our, like, working range, but could probably make some money from it. Tokyo. Let's see. We don't have any iron. Because they're samurai. So, let's try to... When do we get... Oh, wait, rifling's here. We'd like to upgrade the samurai so we're not using that iron. We also would like more... Oh, we got it. We have to improve this iron. Crap. Yeah, after this worker is finished in Osaka, I'll send him up there. Because Kagoshima doesn't have iron yet anyway. Keep making cargo ships, please. Osaka, I guess you can do that as well. Actually, let's make a privateer. And... seaport. Okay. Sounds good to me. I'm probably going to put an end to this video here. Getting kind of long. Oops, just whacked the mic. And I covered, basically, we covered the kind of early to mid Edo period. Things heat up a little bit around the end of the 18th century, but not quite there yet. Doing well on happiness, which is good. A little while ago, we were doing quite poorly. I would like to catch up. Why is this guy still up here? I would like to catch up in science, but we will do that next time. Thank you guys very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.